Everyone, I am Dr. Nilanjan Sonnigrahi, PGT, third year, Department of Physiology, Barwan Medical College. Today my topic of discussion is countercurrent mechanism of kidney. Countercurrent mechanism. This is the concentration of urine is the function of juxtamedullary nephron, which is long loop of Henle which goes down deep in the medulla. Also the vasa recta capillaries of juxtamedullary nephron follow the same deep loop of Henle. Flow in the both long loop of Henle and vasa recta is considered countercurrent because flow in two limbs of the loop move in the opposite direction. Now here we see the whole mechanism. Juxtamedullary nephron, long loop nephron important in establishing the medullary vertical osmotic gradient, and cortical nephron most abundant type of nephron. Now, the countercurrent mechanism of kidney depends upon maintenance of a gradient of increasing osmolality along the medullary pyramids. Countercurrent multiplication system, it is in the loop of Henle, and countercurrent exchanger system in the vasa recta. Now the countercurrent mechanism. One is countercurrent multipliers and another is countercurrent exchangers. Countercurrent multipliers, that means the loop of Henle produce a high osmotic medullary gradient. It is 1200 milliosmol per liter at the bottom. Maintained by the operation of the vasa recta act as a countercurrent exchangers, as the flow of fluid and solute is in the opposite direction. Long loop of Henle establish a vertical osmotic gradient, that is countercurrent multiplier, and their vasa recta preserve this gradient while providing blood to renal medulla, that is countercurrent exchanger. Collecting duct of all nephrons use the gradient in conjunction with the hormone vasopressin to produce urine of varying concentration. Collectively, this entire functional organization is known as medullary countercurrent system. The kidneys conserve water by excreting a concentrated urine. By continuing to excrete solutes while increasing water reabsorption, can produce a maximal urine concentration of 1200 to 1400 milliosmol per liter. Obligatory urine volume, the minimal volume of urine that must be excreted, that is 500 ml. A high level of antidiuretic hormone, a high osmolarity of the renal medullary interstitial fluid. The renal medullary interstitium surrounding the collecting ducts normally is very hyperosmotic. Then it is the picture how vasa recta is present, the juxtamedullary nephron. Is the another picture. Now the important features of concentrating process. The descending limb of loop of Henle has a high permeability to water and a low permeability to solutes. The ascending limb of loop of Henle has a low permeability to water but actively reabsorbs sodium. The distal tubal collecting duct also actively reabsorbs sodium in the presence of antidiuretic hormone. They are permeable to water. The descending and thin ascending limbs of loop of Henle are permeable to urea. The thick ascending limb and cortical part of the collecting duct have low permeability to urea. The medullary part of the collecting duct has a high permeability to urea that can be increased by antidiuretic hormone. Obligatory urine volume. It is the minimal volume of urine that must be excreted each day to get rid the body of the products of metabolism and ingested ions. It depends upon the maximal concentrating ability of the kidney. Total solutes to be excreted each day in a 70 kg man equals to 600 milliosmol. Maximal concentrating ability of human kidney is 1200 milliosmol per liter. The vasa recta. The anatomical arrangement of these blood vessels means that they do not dissipate the interstitial osmotic gradient created by the lobe of Henle. Large changes in blood flow in the vasa recta can reduce or increase the medullar interstitial osmolality beyond its normal value. Now the mechanism of development of the medullary gradient. We have to remember that the whole process, how it is explained, is hypothetical. Let us assume that the glomerular filtrate to be 300 milliosmol per liter and assume medullary interstitium to be at 300 milliosmol per liter. And we should start here. Now what happens? We will see gradually the transformation of osmolar gradient. Now transporters create a gradient of 200 milliosmol per liter. Here we see that the 300 milliosmol in the ascending limb of loop of Henle and the solutes are coming out, and so the medullary concentration gradient will increase. And now the medullary concentration gradient is 400 and concentration gradient inside the ascending limb of loop of Henle is 200. The descending limb loses water and reaches the same osmolarity. Now again, the water of 300 milliosmol per liter is entering to the descending limb of loop of Henle. It is continuously 300 milliosmol per liter is entering, and now what happens? The upper interstitium equilibrates with it. And now we see that the 400 milliosmol per liter fluid is going through the ascending limb of loop of Henle, and in the next, now we will say again the solutes are coming from the ascending limb and transporter pumps out sodium and chloride again into interstitium. Until a gradient of 200 milliosmol is attained. Now again the descending limb equilibrates. Now in the upper portion it is 350, and the lower portion it has become 500. Now inflow of fresh filtrate and equilibration with the medullary interstitium. Transporters work again to reach a gradient of 200 milliosmol. Process is repeated again and again, thus a single effect gets multiplied. The magnitude depends on rate of fluid flow, strength of single effect, and length of loop of Henle. Here you see from the cortical region to the medullary region, the deep in the medulla, it is 300 in the cortical region, it gradually increased to 1200 milliosmol per liter. Now that whole process is summarized in this picture. And it is the urea effect establishes the final gradient. Out of the 1200 milliosmol per kg of osmolality in the deepest part of the medulla, about 600 milliosmol per kg of osmolality is due to the urea. Urea undergoes a repeated recycling through a cyclic path. And which passes through inner medullary interstitium, renal tubule extending from the thin ascending limb of loop of Henle up to the inner medullary collecting duct and medullary interstitium. In the late distal tubule, cortical collecting duct and outer medullary collecting duct, antidiuretic hormone induces water reabsorption, but urea permeability remains low. As a result, urea concentration rises considerably. In the inner medullary collecting duct, urea permeability through the tubular epithelium is normally high, and this is further enhanced by antidiuretic hormone. So urea enters into medullary interstitium along concentration gradient, and this contributes to the high urea concentration in the medullary interstitium. Repeated recycling of urea further increases urea concentration, which reaches an osmolality of 600 milliosmol per kg. Thus, osmolality of the deepest part of the medulla reaches 1200 milliosmol per kg, and this plays an essential role in concentration of urine. Now, here we see how sodium chloride enters and water comes out in the vasa recta. In the vasa recta, the milliosmol per liter is balancing. It is the counter current exchanger. The solutes are entering and the water is coming out from the descending limb, and from the ascending limb water is drawing in and solutes are coming out. and this mechanism is explained here. Here we see, as in the PCT, urea, sodium, water and chloride are absorbed, and in the loop of Henle, in the descending limb, water is coming out and sodium and chloride is coming in, and there is, it is shown the urea cycle. Here you see the same thing. And now the role of loop of Henle. Descending limb is highly permeable to water but impermeable to solutes. Thin ascending limb is passively permeable to solutes. In thick ascending limb, sodium and chloride are actively transported by sodium potassium 2Cl co-transporter, that is a secondary active transport. Here is the mechanism. That is the sodium potassium ATPase pump in the basolateral membrane. That is the primary active transport, and the secondary active transport here is the sodium potassium 2Cl co-transporter. And potassium is again coming in the lumen by a potassium channel, ROMK type potassium channel, and it is the hypothetical countercurrent exchanger. It is by vasa recta. Descending vasa recta loses water and gains solutes. Ascending vasa recta gains water and loses solutes according to the medullary osmotic gradient. And the role of collecting duct, it acts as osmotic equilibrating device by its permeability to water and urea. Use the gradient created by loop of Henle and maintained by vasa recta in conjunction with the hormone vasopressin to produce urine of varying concentration. Now, what is the mechanism of action of antidiuretic hormone? It is the principal cell in distal or collecting tubular lumen filtrate. Here we see aquaporin 3 and aquaporin 4 water channels are there, and H2O are absorbed by the aquaporin 2 water channel, the luminal membrane. And in the V2 receptor, the vasopressin acts and ATP produced cyclic AMP. This cyclic AMP increases permeability of luminal membrane to H2O by inserting new aquaporin 2 water channels, and these aquaporin 2 water channels absorbs water, and in the basolateral membrane by the aquaporin 3 and aquaporin 4 water is reabsorbed and it goes to the peritubular capillary ultimately. And it is the elaboration of the same mechanism. Now the aquaporin 2 is inserted in the V2 receptor. The cyclic AMP formation, protein kinase A activation, and protein phosphorylation and other proteins. It enhances the exocytosis of the aquaporin 2 from the vesicles, and it incorporated in the luminal membrane. recirculation of urea absorbed from medullary collecting duct into interstitial fluid. As I have already mentioned, the mechanism is showing here. Regulation of water reabsorption in response to H2O deficit. There is water deficit, it is increased extracellular osmolarity, osmoreceptors, increased ADH secretion from posterior pituitary, increased plasma antidiuretic hormone, and increased water permeability in distal tubules and collecting ducts, increased water reabsorption. This is the mechanism of antidiuretic hormone secretion and its function in the collecting duct. Regulation of water reabsorption in response to H2O excess. It is increased water intake, decreased extracellular osmolarity, osmoreceptors are activated, and decreased ADH secretion, decreased plasma ADH, decreased H2O permeability in distal tubules collecting duct, decreased H2O reabsorption. So more H2O excreted here. Now, different types of diuretics, their mechanism of action and where it acts. It is type 1 inhibitors of carbonic anhydrase. Site of action is proximal convoluted tubule. Examples are acetazolamide, methazolamide. Osmotic diuretics. Site of action is loop of Henle. Examples are glycerin, isosorbide, mannitol, urea. Inhibitors of sodium potassium 2-Cl symport. It is loop diuretics, high ceiling diuretics, acts on thick ascending limb of loop of Henle, is furosemide, bumetanide, torsemide. Inhibitors of sodium chloride symport, it is thiazide like diuretics, site of action is distal convoluted tubule. Examples chlorothiazide, hydrochlorothiazide. Inhibitors of renal epithelial sodium channels, it is potassium sparing diuretics, site of action is late distal tubule and collecting duct. Examples are amiloride, triamterene. Antagonist of mineralocorticoid receptors, aldosterone antagonist and potassium sparing diuretics, site of action is late distal tubule and collecting duct. Example is spironolactone. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you all.